Shalom and welcome to Yeshiva B'nai Noach. I'm Tom Averna, and this is the Beginning Biblical Hebrew course. From our First Hebrew Primer, 3rd edition, we're in chapter 13, still sentences without verbs, and in exercise 2 for that chapter. And it looks like we will have but 3 exercises. We'll see how it goes today. So let's start with exercise 6 in this one, and reading the Hebrew sentence below and then translate the following English sentences using the Hebrew as a guide. So again, I think on this one we will just read the Hebrew since it's a pretty straightforward translation. So we'll read the Hebrew here, and then the sentences that you should have on here, or you will have, we'll read those in the next slide. So, halachnu mimitzrayim balayla uvayom avarnu yama amadnu lifnei hahar ve'az shamanu et Divrei HaTorah min hashamayim ve'ele divrei mishpat ve'shalom le'olam. And the sentences that are derived from that should be as follows. Sentence 1. Halachu mimitzrayim balayla. Sentence 2. Avartem yama. Sentence 3. Az amadnu lifnei hahar. Sentence 4. Shama'u et divrei HaTorah min hashamayim. Sentence 5. Ele divrei mishpat v'shalom le'olam. Sentence 6. Ha divrei HaTorah min hashamayim. Sentence 7. HaDivrei mishpat le'olam. And sentence 8. Avarnu balayla uvayom yama. All right, exercise 7 rather. This one's a little more complicated, so I'll show you the process that I've gone through here, and we'll actually do the exercises. But again, please try and do these on your own first, or at least after listening to the instructions that I'm about to give, and then come here. But however you need to do it to learn. But we'll go through the process here. All right, so the idea is that you have an initial sentence, which is this one without the yellow block. The initial sentence is a noun sentence. These are all noun sentences, which is important to realize, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But these are all noun sentences, meaning they do not have verbs in them. There are no verbs in these sentences. All right? So you want to first of all translate the initial sentence. Once you have that translation, so you can easily see what you're working with, then you want to rewrite them in the perfect and imperfect using haya. Right now, if you, I would highly recommend that you pull out the chart that I've given you as a handout. If you don't have it, it's on Google Docs. Or it's on page 118, I believe. I should have put that up here. But at any rate, it's in your book. in this chapter, in chapter 13, which shows you the conjugations in both the perfect and imperfect tenses. So you want to keep that in front of you. All right? So that's the initial process. So first thing, have this chart in front of you. Second thing is to read the sentence or translate the sentence, and then figure out where in the sentence the verb is going to go. Remember, there's no verb in this sentence. So, for instance, we translate number 1, and it says, Einei ben Hamelech al benot ha'ir. The eyes of the son of the king are, because if you're including your own verb or the verb that's missing, okay, it's always going to be in the present tense. Always going to be in the present tense. It's always going to be in the present tense. So the eyes of the son of the king are on the daughters of the city. So you have that. You know that are goes right here, even though it's missing. So that's where you're going to put the verb haya when you add it. All right, so the first thing you need to do is translate it and then figure out where the verb should be that you are plugging in, and that's where the new verb, the real verb, will go. Okay. So those are your steps. So after you've done that, then you need to determine what is the subject of the sentence. What is the subject of the verb? So the eyes of the son of the king are. So what is the subject of this sentence? If you have a word pair, this is important, please remember, if you have a word pair, the subject is always the first word of the word pair. Always the first word of the word pair. So now that you've determined that the subject of the sentence is Einei, then you have to ask yourself the gender and the number. So here we have Einei, masculine, plural. Masculine, plural. So the eyes they are. The eyes they are. So that tells you that your subject that you're going to be looking for in the chart is the haya verb in the they conjugation. All right, so you have that determined for sentence number 1. So now you look at your chart and you find they. Okay, perfect tense, imperfect tense. So now it's just a question of rewriting the sentence each time, or do it in your head. That's fine too. However you're practicing this, and substituting it. So let's do that. So Einei ben Hamelech. Let's take the perfect tense first. Hayu al benot hayir. The eyes of the son of the king were, hayu, were on the daughters of the city. So that's the perfect tense. Now we take the imperfect tense. The imperfect for they is ye, you. So the sentence would read, Einei ben Hamelech yehu al benot hayir, which would be the eyes of the son of the king will be on the daughters of the city. Okay. So again, remember your subject. So you translate the sentence, figure out where the missing verb is going to go, figure out where the subject is. Okay. Now the other part of the instructions, which we'll do when we get to a sentence that includes it, is if the sentence is negated, then you have to remember the difference between lo and ein. And again, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's continue with what we've got here. So number 1 is now done. We've chosen the they conjugation because the subject is they, or is masculine plural. Okay, 2. Shem ha'av, Yaakov, v'shem ha'em, Ruth. The name of the father is Jacob. Okay, remember, present tense is what you're supplying here automatically. So the name of the father is Jacob, and the name of the mother is Ruth. So what's your subject? Subject is Shem ha'av. So Shem is the first word of the word pair. So your subject is Shem. That's going to be masculine singular. All right, but let's look at the second one. So the first one is the father, the second one is the mother. So would that make this feminine singular? No, because remember your subject is the first word of the word pair. So Shem is the subject of both parts of this sentence. So the verb that you're going to put in here for both places is going to be the masculine singular verb. Okay, the name, it, or the name he. All right, the name he is. All right, so masculine singular would be he. So you find that on your chart. And these are the two in the perfect tense and imperfect tense that you're going to plug into those places. So let's start with the perfect. Shem ha'av haya, haya Yaakov, v'shem ha'em haya Ruth. So the name of the father was Jacob, and the name of the mother was Ruth. So now we're going to take the imperfect tense, Yihyeh. Shem ha'av Yihyeh Yaakov, v'shem ha'em Yihyeh Ruth. The name of the father will be Jacob, and the name of the mother will be Ruth. So see, if you go through the process, it's fairly simple to do. Just make sure you have this chart here, that you identify the subject of the sentence, know its gender and its number, and that will tell you what you need to choose from down here. Okay, so number 3. Ha-kesef min he-harim hu ba'adama bein ha-eitzim. So the silver from the mountains is, this is just a repeat of the pronoun, but this is also a clue as to what, if you don't remember what tense, what gender kesef is, this would be your clue here. But at any rate, so the silver from the mountains is in or on the land or on the ground, among the trees, bein ha'etzim, among the trees. All right, so kesef is masculine singular. If you didn't know that, this pronoun would certainly tell you that. So if this is masculine singular, what conjugation do you need? You need he. You need the he conjugation. So you're going to be plugging in these two haya verbs. All right? So start with the perfect tense. Doesn't matter which one. I start with the perfect tense. So ha-kesef min he-harim hu haya ba'adama bein ha'etzim. So the silver from the mountains was on the or in the ground, in the earth, among the trees. So now let's go to the imperfect tense. Yihyeh. Ha-kesef min he-harim hu yihyeh ba'adama bein ha'etzim. The silver from the mountains will be in the ground, in the earth, among the trees. All right, so that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward. All right, let's go to the next page. Number 4. Avadim anachnu bayom v'gam balayla. So the servants, we. All right, well, that doesn't make sense. So what you're going to do is, remember, your subject doesn't always have to come first. Your subject is actually we. We are servants. We are servants in the day and also in the night. All right, we are. So you wouldn't say the servants, there's no ha here, just we are servants in the day and also in the night. So verb goes here. Now, what's the subject? Well, you could, again, you might look at this and say, if you're just looking at the sentence without having translated it, you might say, well, the servants. But that would throw you off in terms of what conjugation you need. The subject is actually anachnu. We are the servants. Okay, we is the subject. So you're looking for we conjugation, and here it is. We conjugation. So these are the verbs you're going to substitute for the to be verb in the present tense. So again, we'll start with perfect tense. Hayinu. So avadim, anachnu, hayinu, bayom v'gam balayla. We were servants in the day and also in the night. In the imperfect tense, then, it's going to be niye. Avadim anachnu niye bayom v'gam balayla. We will be servants in the day and also in the night. And how do I know the? How do I know that this is the night and the day? This vowel tells you that. Remember that if it's not definite, and you're just dealing with a straightforward noun, if it's not definite, you would have a shava under your prefix. Since you don't have a shava, you know that it's swallowed up the hay and taken its vowel. So this vowel tells you, if it's not a shava, it tells you that this is the prefix plus the article the. Okay, so in the night, in the day. All right, but again, the main purpose of this is to take the verb, the to be verb that is understood, the present tense, and to translate it into the past and the future tense, or the perfect and imperfect tense. Okay, so we did that. Next one, number 5. All right, now, ain. So what does ain do? Ain negates the sentence. So the sentence reads, Ain zera v'ain lechem. There is no seed, because again, you're taking the present tense, it's a noun, a subject, or a sentence, a noun sentence. So there is no seed, and there is no bread. So now you have to remember your rules here. Remember that ain negates a noun sentence. A noun sentence is a sentence without a verb. So if you add a verb, which is what we're about to do, ain will no longer work, because verb sentences use lo as the negator. All right, so you're going to change not only the verb, but you're going to change ain to lo, because now we're going to have a verb sentence. Okay, otherwise, same process. So what is the subject of the sentence? There is no seed, so seed is the subject. Okay, seed is the subject. So that's masculine, singular, zera. So that's what you're going for here, is this substitution. Okay, so now we change this to lo. So lo haya zera v'lo haya lechem. There was no seed, and there was no bread. Now let's take the imperfect tense, ye. So lo ye zera v'lo ye lechem. So there will be no seed, and there will be no bread. So again, if you're writing out the sentence, this is where you would put your two verbs in here. So that's it for the any sentence that has a negator in it. If it's a noun sentence changing to a verb sentence, the ain has to change to lo. So those are the two things you'll have to remember in doing this, these kind of sentences. All right, let's go to 6. Excuse me. 6. Hine dam ha-cherev al panei ha-adama. So, behold, the blood of the sword is on the face, or faces, face, this can be translated either way, is on the face of the earth, or the ground. But this is plural, but remember panei as face or faces can be translated either way. It's always in the plural. All right, so now, what is your subject? So again, having translated the sentence, here is the blood, dam is your subject, blood of the sword. All right, so blood is, look it up if you don't know, but it is masculine and it is singular. So that would be the blood he is on, or the blood it. Remember, there is no neuter in Hebrew, but so you're going with the he, but in English you would translate it as it. Well, you wouldn't translate it at all in this case, but you would say, so behold, the blood of the sword it is on. Okay. Now, let's take it to the perfect tense. So we've determined it's he, it's masculine singular. So here's our conjugation for masculine singular. We've been using it a lot in this exercise. So haya. So hine dam ha-cherev haya al panei ha'adama. Here is, or behold, the blood of the sword was on the face of the earth. So then we take the imperfect, yeh, hine dam ha-cherev yeh al panei ha'adama. Behold, the blood of the sword will be on the face of the earth. Okay. Number 7. Ani al yad hamayim v'ata baderek. All right, so we have another unusual situation in number 7, but let's just translate it first of all. So I am near the water. So this is your you've substituted the unwritten to be verb in the present tense, I am near the water, and you are on the road. Okay? So, what is the subject of the sentence? Well, the first subject is I, but is the second subject the same? No. So this is I did something, or will do something, or have done something. And this is you will do or have done something. So you're going to need two verbs that are being substituted here. So the first one is I, which is hayiti in the perfect tense, and you masculine singular. Ata is you masculine singular. So you're going to take hayiti and hayita as your two verbs here. So ani hayiti al yad hamayim vi'ata hayita baderek. So I was near the water and you were on the road. Imperfect tense, same thing. You're going to use eya and tiya. So ani eya al yad hamayim vi'ata tiya baderek. I will be near the water, and you will be on the road. All right, so again, pretty simple, but you do have to identify all of these elements. You have to identify where the verb goes and what the subject of each verb is. Is it the same subject or is it a different subject? And what is the gender and number of that subject? And that tells you what you're replacing here. And we're doing this by way of practice. And as I've said before, I don't normally do these because you're not going to have to figure that out. For the most part, you're not writing Hebrew. You're not writing a Hebrew book. You are reading a Hebrew book, the Torah or Tanakh or some Hebrew writings. So that's why I don't dwell too much on these, but I thought just as good practice here to help you to understand the parts of the sentence, the things that you're looking for, why things are done the way they are. That's why we're taking the time to go through these exercises. We won't do this every time. But if I think there's a learning process that can take place in doing this, then we'll do it. Don't stress too much about trying to figure these things out, as long as you have the basic ideas, because as I say, our goal in this class is not to write Hebrew, but to read Hebrew. So you won't need to figure these out. Someone else will have figured that out, hopefully correctly, and all you have to do is read and translate. So again, be aware. Here's the process. Noun sentences do not have a verb. To negate them, you would use ein. Verb sentences, to negate, you would use lo. And that's the biggest thing to take from all of this. Okay? Let's do the final section. 8, 9, and 10. So ein tells you again you've got a negative sentence here. Ein mishpat b'Yerushalayim v'ein shalom b'nefesh ha'am. So there is no law in Jerusalem, and there is no peace in the spirit of the people, or in the soul of the people, I should say, in the soul of the people. All right, so first thing we're going to do is change ein to lo, because now we're going to add verbs. The subject we'll determine is mishpat, so that's he. Second subject is going to also be is shalom, which is also masculine. Okay, so it's going to be the same verb in both cases. So ein or 8 is going to take he in both cases, haya and yehye. So we're not going to translate there, not going to do that, but that's what you would plug in there. Number 9, Zot ha-behema asher achla et hakol. So Zot all automatically tells you. Remember that Zot is only used when you have a feminine word that it's referring to. Ze would be a masculine. So Zot tells you that your subject is, right here, animal, which is feminine singular, so she. So just be aware of that's one clue that you can get even without knowing necessarily the subject. So Zot would be, this is the animal that ate everything. Okay? So again, and that's the only verb you're going to have in here, so all you do is take the she conjugation in the perfect and imperfect and plug it in here both times. Number 10, Ele ha-devarim asher amar Abraham l'Sarah. So Ele is these are, and this can be masculine or feminine, so this doesn't tell you what the subject is necessarily, but these are the words, so the words would be the subject, ha-devarim, so that is masculine plural, which is they. So you're looking for the they conjugation, so you only have one verb, you're going to plug in each verb for each new sentence, okay? So that's 10. That's exercise 7, a little more complicated. Your head might be spinning a little bit, but again, I'm not too worried about you necessarily being able to do this, but I just want you to understand the principle behind what we're doing in putting this together. Noun sentences without verbs, verbal sentences with verbs, and that's going to change whether you use ein or lo to negate the sentence. Okay? All right, let's go on. Okay, our next fun time. Exercise 8. Rewrite the sentences below, replacing the underlined word in each with each word in the list that follows. Read the sentences aloud and translate. So we've done these before. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time. But again, the first thing, as always, the first thing you're going to do is to translate the sentence, figure out what would change if the subject, if that's what's being replaced here, if the subject changes, how is that going to change the verbs and the pronouns that will subsequently appear in the sentence? So I saw the sword of gold, and then I went up with the sword of the mountain. So I saw, if you change I, you're going to have to change the verb here and the verb here. And that's really the only two changes that you'll need to make. All right? So we're substituting anoki, which is I, with other pronouns. So that necessitates the changing of the verb. So let's just go ahead and read the Hebrew. Again, you can see the translation here as we go through it. Recognize that we've changed the two verbs that are in blue, and we've substituted the one word that's in the green here. All right, Aleph. Ra'ita ata et cherev hazahav vi'az alita im hacherev ha'hara. Bet. Ra'ita hi et cherev hazahav vi'az alita im hacherev ha'hara. Gimel. Ra'inu anachnu et cherev hazahav vi'az alinu im hacherev ha'hara. Dalet. Ra'a hu et cherev hazahav v'az ala im ha-cherev ha-hara. Hey. Ra'u hem et cherev hazahav, v'az alu im ha-cherev ha-hara. All right, number 2. And I'm not going to spend any more time in explanation. Just notice what we've changed and why we've changed it. So, number 2 reads, Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Atem Tochlu Bamidbar. Reading the Hebrew in Aleph, Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Ani Ochal Bamidbar. Bet. Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Anachnu Nochal Bamidbar. Gimel. Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Hem Yochlu Bamidbar. Dalet. Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Hi Tochal Bamidbar. Hey. Ko Amar Moshe el Bnei Israel, Ze Halechem Asher Hu Yochal Bamidbar. And as I've said, we've explained all of this before. But if you have questions, please, if there's something that still isn't clear to you, please write it in the comment section, and I will try and get back to you and see how I can help you to make it any clearer. All right? But you have to, if you're not going to use those aids and those resources, then I can't help you. But I'm willing and able and wanting, as long as who knows how long these will be up on YouTube. As long as I'm still able to, I will respond and get back with you. But even if I don't, please feel free, if you are also seeing comments in the description or in this comment section that you know the answer to, please reach out and give that answer. It doesn't have to be me. And I actually would prefer that other students would come out and do that. So please be aware that you have the resource not only of the things that I've provided, but you have the resource of other students. I hope those other students will also be willing to spend the time, if they know the answer, to answer you. As I've said before, if there are mistakes as well, please comment about it, and either I'll fix it or we'll at least make a comment to give you the correction. All right? Continuing on then. Number 3. Shamati et ruach halayla. Petachti et ha-sha'ar. Halachti el hayom visham. Yeshavti ad hayom. Aleph. Eshma et ruach halayla. Eftach et hasha'ar. Elech el hayom visham. Eshev ad hayom. Bet. Shema et ruach halayla. Petach et hasha'ar. Halach el hayom visham. Yashav ad hayom. Gimel. Yishma et ruach halayla, yiftach et ha-sha'ar, yelech el hayom v'sham yeshev ad hayom. Dalet, Shamanu et ruach halayla, patachnu et ha-sha'ar, halachnu el hayom v'sham yeshavnu ad hayom. Hey, tishmeu et ruach halayla, tiftachu et ha-sha'ar, telechu el hayom v'sham, tishvu ad hayom. Vav, Shamata et ruach halayla, patachta et ha-sha'ar, halachta el hayom v'sham yeshavta ad hayom. So, and also a comment on these exercises, the ones where we're rewriting. You don't necessarily have to do the exercises in terms of the rewriting, but I do want you to go through and be able to translate all of these sentences. Once you've got the first sentence down, the rest of the translations are pretty simple, but I'd like you to go through that process of translating it with the changes as you go through it. But as far as the rewriting the sentences, it's great practice if you can do it. If you want to do it, I would highly recommend it. But since our goal is simply to read and translate, that's the main thing I would like you to focus on. Number 4. Hine ata tihyeh ha-kohen, v'az teda et kol ha-devarim b'torah. Aleph, hine hu yeye ha-kohen v'az yeda et kol ha-devarim b'torah. Bet, hine anachnu niyeh ha-kohanim v'az neda et kol ha-devarim b'torah. Gimel, hine ani eya ha-kohen v'az eda et kol ha-devarim b'torah. Dalet, hine heim yeyu ha-kohanim v'az yeda'u et kol ha-devarim b'torah. And hey, hine atem tiyu ha-kohanim v'az teda'u et kol ha-devarim b'torah. One other thing I'll point out on this sentence in particular, as you're translating, be careful because I stumbled on this myself. But when you're figuring out what you need to change, behold, you will be the priest, and then you will know all the words of the Torah. So you is singular, so priest is singular. I overlooked that the first time I went through and translated this. It's corrected here. But priest, then, if this changes to plural, then the thing that it's referring to also has to change to plural. So it would be priests, plural. So kohen versus kohenim. So always make sure, again, if you're doing the exercises, that you're noticing that you do need to change any other words that are related to the subject or anything that you're changing. Okay, so just be careful of that. Again, not important for just reading and translating. Number 5. Ekach et ha-zera asher emtza al ha-adama v'az eshlach et ha-zera el em David. Right? Aleph. Lakakti et hazera asher מצאתי על האדמה, ואז שלחתי את הזרע אל אם דוד. ב' ייקח את הזרע אשר ימצא על האדמה, ואז ישלח את הזרע אל אם דוד. ג' לקח את הזרע אשר מצא על האדמה, ואז שלח את הזרע אל אם דוד. ד' ניקח את הזרע אשר נמצא על האדמה, ואז נשלח את הזרע אל אם דוד. ה' לקחנו את הזרע אשר מצאנו על האדמה, ואז שלחנו את הזרע אל אם דוד. ו' לקחו את הזרע אשר מצאו על האדמה, ואז שלחו את הזרע אל אם דוד. ז' ייקחו את הזרע אשר ימצאו על האדמה, ואז ישלחו את הזרע אל אם David. And our last sentence in exercise 8, number 6. Ein Adam hayom b'shamayim uva'aretz asher avar et ha-midbar amad lifnei hachar v'gam asa shalom. Aleph, Ein mishpacha hayom b'shamayim uva'aretz asher avra et ha-midbar amda lifnei hahar v'gam asata shalom. Bet Ein amim hayom b'shamayim uva'aretz asher avru et ha-midbar amdu lifnei hahar v'gam asu shalom. Gimel. Ein nashim hayom b'shamayim uva'aretz asher avru et ha-midbar amdu lifnei hahar v'gam asu shalom. Dalet. Ein ish hayom b'shamayim uva'aretz asher avar et ha-midbar amad lifnei hahar v'gam asa shalom. And that is exercise 2, sentences about verbs. We will have a third video in the series. Next, we'll deal with the Bible translations and the Tall Tales and Sefer Ruth in our next video. So that one will probably be a little shorter, but I wanted to get through this one. So again, that's we'll take care of that in the next one. We'll finish up chapter 13 and then get started into chapter 14. So again, thanks for spending this time with me. Hope you've been able to learn some things, and please, please, please make comments in the comment section if you have any questions, if you have any corrections to make, or just want to say thanks. All of that is appreciated. So be sure and use the comment section. I would appreciate that. For Yeshiva B'nai Noach, I'm Tom Averna. Shalom.